Happiness through curiosity on the Ranveer Show. Welcome to TRS Clips. Where would you like to begin this explanation of the Vedas? Like, which one would you like to start with?
Rig Veda, the first one.
Okay.
So during those days, they used to invoke natural elements. In fact, Rig Veda starts with invoking Agni, that is fire god.
Okay. Invoking means inviting?
I think both can be the common word. Invoking, inviting is the same. For example, in India, even today, the first god that is worshipped is actually fire god.
You mean when you're doing a puja, like when you're praying,
Yeah,
you light
absolutely.
a diya?
Housewarming, weddings. What do you keep? Agni Sakshi
What does Sakshi mean?
as a witness.
Okay.
So when we are, doing any ceremony, it is fire god that is invoked. In Rig Veda, the first god that is invoked is actually fire god. But of course, there are elements. You can see that in Western movies. The 5 elements and all. So water is there, fire is there, Vayu is there. So in fact, if you look at the Indian Navy, if you look at the logo, it talks about Shanno Varunaha. Varuna means sea or water god. So in the Rig Veda, we invoke the natural powers of natural elements.
So how would you kind of explain the Rig Veda from a macro perspective? What is in that overall book? Like, if I had to explain autobiography of a yogi, I'd say that it's a good introduction to the world of yoga and spirituality. What's the Rig Veda?
So Rig Veda is the introduction to the powers of the natural element which you can invoke in your life.
And inside your own body as well.
Yes, of course. Because let's say I require a particular temperature. If it goes down or if it goes higher, then I am not well.
You mean your body has a natural temperature? I think it's
Yes.
37.5 if I'm
Yes,
not
yes,
mistaken,
yes,
degrees
yes,
Celsius.
yes.
But if there's too much heat in your body, say you're eating too much spicy food, you're eating a
Yes.
lot of meat, you're eating processed food, heat increases.
Yes.
The Rig Veda possibly has yogic techniques or
Yes.
food
Yes.
knowledge, food information about foods that cools down your body.
Yes.
Parallelly, if your body's too cold, it has information about how to heat up your body. But what else beyond just fire and temperature?
So there are many natural elements. So they are all invoking the different nature elements. So
Okay.
that's Rig Veda.
Okay. What's there deeper in the book? Like when you say invoking is there a list of mantras?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe for the Western audiences, can you explain what a mantra is?
So mantra is something that you discover to invoke the natural elements. For example, if you've seen any puja, there is a particular Panditji who will invoke that Lord.
Okay. Here's how I understand mantras. I still look down upon bhajans. The word bhajan is basically, you can think of it, the Catholic parallel, the Christian parallel is hymn. You know, like
Him.
religious songs. I
Yes.
still question what the logic behind that is. As I grew older and I discovered bhajans and kirtans, I've realized that they're all made in very particular tunes.
Yes.
And if you sing along or if you even hum along with it, it kind of changes your breathing pattern slightly. Your breath always has an effect on your heartbeat, and your heartbeat always has an effect on your perception of reality because it affects your mind.
Yes.
Therefore, bhajans affect how calm you feel. They usually calm you down.
Oh, interestingly, we have heard about astral travel and also planchets. Have you heard
Okay.
about planchets?
No.
So what happens in the Western culture? Suppose you have to invoke a dead soul. You can actually invoke them and get them in a physical form.
Like Ouija boards.
Yeah,
Ouija boards.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So let me give you an example. In the Mahabharata, how were the 5 Pandavas born? So their mother Kunti actually could invoke the Devatas. So if you look at it, there was no biological way of producing these children. So how did they happen? So all these 5 Pandavas were actually the children of gods. So Kunti had the power of invoking the mantras and these particular gods.
Hmm.
So if you look at, for example, Bhim. Bhim is supposed to be Vayu Putra. Coming back to Rig Veda.
The son of wind.
Wind. And he is the brother of Hanuman, who is also son of wind.
Hmm.
So she invokes, and then Hanumanji is not born. But in this particular case, we have Bhim born. So these 5 Pandavas were actually born to Kunti by invoking through these mantras.
Hmm.
In fact, it is said that there are different eras. Like today, we are living in a digital era. During the Mahabharata or the Vedic era, it was a full era of mantras. I'll give you an example. If you look at the Mahabharata war, you must have seen some television serials. They never had missiles like what we make today. They could take a blade of grass and they would invoke a mantra, and that particular blade of grass actually became a missile, a Brahmastra. So Brahmastra is not the discovery of a missile or the invention of a missile in a particular laboratory, like modern day warfare. It is actually invoking the mantras and giving the power to that little blade of glass, which can actually act as an arrow.
Thank you for watching this clip. If you want to learn more about this topic, we've curated a playlist just for you, and here's a link to the whole episode.